It says we're live. Okay, it's Jim is on his way to go turn money into noise and smoke. So I'm here with Sanford hiding off in the wing. So it's going to be me and Sanford today, and probably I've got a couple of rats. So here we go. To start with, we need to keep. I hate this thing. Keep the air conditioner going. You may hear it running in the background. So Ko-fi.com, the blanket fort. We'll go to keeping the air conditioning running.
Till the night when it turns the heat on.
Until it's time to turn the heat on, yes. King Harv's Imperial Coffees, www.kingharv.com. Coffee is good. Coffee keeps people unstabulated. If you order coffee from these guys, please let them know you heard about it from us. And last, but certainly not least, actually, I'm wearing one of his t-shirts. Just got here from the gym, so I'm in a t-shirt instead of a decent shirt. Among the Leaves Tees, tinyurl.com/Among the Leaves Tees. As you can see, for all your snarky t-shirt needs.
By the way, the reason I'm sitting off camera is I'm respecting your eyes. People have complained about this shirt.
I love that shirt. I don't know what you're talking about. I love that shirt. It covers a multitude of sins. So, like I said, Jim is off to Colorado to turn money into smoke and noise. So, it's going to be you get me and Sanford today. I'm sorry.
Could be worse.
It could be worse. It could definitely be worse. I'm not sure how, but it could be worse.
It could be just me.
Could be Sanford.
And I'd be sitting over here, and they'd have the live stream on. No picture, nobody of the camera.
Do you remember how I used to do these?
No.
Back 5 years ago when we started doing this, people were getting video of my pajamaed legs because I would do a live stream sitting in my recliner with my tablet in my lap, and the camera would be pointing at my very snazzily tartaned pajamaed legs.
Well, at least you weren't wearing shorts and blinding them with
that light. Came later. And then after Jim and I combined live streams, we'd do it at Jim's house, and it'd be Jim, and I'd be off screen. And we went several years like that before Jim suckered me into actually doing this. So Sanford is in the orange and pink shirt. The blaze orange and hot pink. And I think it's a fantastic shirt. I could hide so much stuff under that shirt.
Because nobody will look at you while you're wearing it.
Briefly. Yes, please. I don't know if the camera will actually pick up the gloriousness that is. Oh, yeah, it does. Isn't that glorious?
It's one of my favorite shirts.
I like that shirt. Who made it, by the way?
Look at the label.
Yeah, I can't pronounce that. I'm going to look. I need one of those.
You'll have to get it from eBay or someplace because they quit making shirts back in the 60s.
Bugger. I could put a howitzer under that thing. Nobody noticed. It's great. The screaming about eyeballs is... I like his shirt, but that's just me. So today I thought I would address something that's bothering me a bit. And if Cedar's in the chat, I'm sure she'll pop on.
No, she's not. She is buying straw.
Well, she's a good spot for it. She's not getting a round bale, is she?
Oh, God, I hope not, because she was planning on getting 5, and she's only got a pickup truck.
Whoo! The goggles, they do nothing. Yes. Don't you love... Isn't that shirt great? I mean, it's even louder in person, if that's believable. Yep. So, I would like to address the way Racketeer Press does anthologies. We'll call it Anthology 101 because there's a lot of small presses and some larger presses that aren't doing anthologies right. There's a method to our madness, and we've got 62 anthos on the ground in a little over 2 years, folks, and our anthos are making money. So I hate to say that I'm a subject matter expert here, but I do know a little bit about anthologies right now. Did Sanford say where he got that shirt from?
A vintage clothing store. It's from the 60s. And if they ever have another one, I'm getting it.
I need to send a picture of that to Retro Rifle and see if they'll do a limited run. Retro Rifle loves me, so we'll see what I can do. Anywho,
Well,
so
if you can get more of these, maybe in other colors combinations.
I think that color combination is great.
Well, yeah, but if we could get a green and blue, a green and red one, or maybe a blue and purple.
I would love orange and green.
Orange and green would be good. Yeah.
How is not faded yet? Dan, it is faded. I hate to tell you this, but that's faded. Anywho, all right. So the what I really wanted to address is how is story order for anthologies. Now I'm assuming that you're like us, and we're gonna go with 10 stories. You have 10 good stories. How do I set up my anthology with these stories? Well, first off, you got 10 slots. First off, take a look at your authors, and you want to find the author with the biggest fan base. Whichever one, whoever the biggest name, biggest fan base, who will have the most eyes on your book. That author goes last, always.
But he does go on the cover always.
Oh yeah, he goes on the cover, but that's a Cedar thing. But as far as story order, he goes last. And the reason for this is most anthology readers these days are reading anthologies in Kindle Unlimited. If you've got a Larry Correa in amongst all your other authors, you're going to draw in a lot of fans that are only going to read his story. So if it's number one, they'll read 20 pages and then duck out. If he's the last one, they've got to go through every page in the anthology until they get to his story, which they'll read. That way, they click through the entire book. You get page clicks for the entire book. You don't put them in the middle. You don't put them at the first. You put them at the last. For the number one spot, remembering that Amazon does a lot of free preview. Okay? So you take a unknown author with a really hooky story. This is a story that gets everybody's attention from an unknown author. That goes in the number one slot. So when they do their free preview, if you have a Larry Correa or a Jim Butcher or a Sarah Hoyt as number one, their fans will take advantage of the free preview. I can talk. Free preview to read that and then dip out. On the free preview, you don't get a book sale and you don't get any page reads. So you may have most of their fan base read the story and you not get paid for it. So, so number one is an unknown or lesser known with a good hooky story, so that when they read the free preview, they want to buy the book. Your number two is somebody with a slightly bigger fan base. So you've got the hook on the first one, and then you're following through on the second one. On your number five, between 4 and 6, your second biggest draw goes between 4 and 6, 4, 5, or 6, somewhere in there, with one of your weaker stories and one of your stronger stories bracketing it. And then you fill the rest as needed. Okay, so biggest draw is number 10. Second biggest draw is between somewhere 4 or 5 or 6, with a strong story, strong unknown story, and a weak unknown story bracketing it. And then your strongest unknown is your number one spot. All right, guys? Because you're leaving money on the table. I'm looking at some small presses that I see them complaining that anthologies don't pay, and I'm looking at their anthology saying, yeah, that's no, because you're leaving money on the table. Almost sounds like you're saying batting order for baseball. That's a good analogy. You're setting up a batting order, and what you need to do is you need to hook, you need to keep them attracted, and then you need the big finish that everybody wants to go to. Somebody earlier clicks on the last story of table of contents. That counts as a click through. That counts as because it counts as you going all the way as the reader going all the way through. All right, guys. Most of your money's in Kindle Unlimited. Don't leave money on the table by putting your number one guy, your number one author in the first as the first story, because a surprising number of his fans or her fans will read that story and then dip out. So,
especially if they don't particularly care for short stories in the first place. There are people that will read an anthology with a Larry Correa in it because it's got Larry in it. But they really don't like short stories, and even if they buy the anthology in paper, they flip through to Larry's, read it, and it goes on the shelf, and they never learn about the other guys in it.
Yeah. And what you need, if you're doing anthologies, I'm going to strongly suggest you look at anthologies as, to continue the baseball analogy we're running with, think of your anthologies as your farm teams. This as a small press, this is where we develop your next generation of writers. That's what we're doing. You need to, if you're a small press, you need to do this too. Use anthologies to develop your farm team. When people when you've got unknowns, small unknown authors turning in stories, you learn about their work ethic, which is very important. The days of traditional publishing can still support authors with I'll get around to it work ethic. Small publishers cannot. If you promise as a small press, if you promise, let's say, 2 novels a month for an entire year, you can't have authors grabbing the fainting couch and ghosting you for 6 months. This is traditional publishing apparently can. We cannot. So your anthologies let you determine the work ethic of your authors. Yes.
Even with traditional publishers, a lot of mid-list authors that do the whole fainting couch thing wind up not being published anymore, not because their work isn't still good, still selling, but because they can't rely on them to meet a deadline.
Deadlines are incredibly important. One of the things you'll notice about working with Racketeer Press is we are fairly solid on deadlines. I have a Jana. I'm not afraid to use her. So, where was I? Farm teams. All right. Also, you get to learn about your authors during the short story process. If an author turns in a story that has issues, could be better, and one of my editors says, "Hey, I would love this story. Can you make these improvements in the next week?" The authors go, "Sure," and do the improvements. We keep an eye on those guys. The ones that go, "No, do not change my story." Well, that's nice. Publish on your own. It lets you get a feel for the author, how they are to work with. Rita has this speech she gives. Neil Gaiman, may he roast. Neil Gaiman had he said there are three things, and an author can be 2 of them and be just fine. They can't be just one. And I'll have to get her on here. I think it was, either it was easy to work with, turns working on time, or does impeccable work. And you can be 2. If you do impeccable work, turn on time, you can be hard to work with, and you're okay. If you're easy to work with and you turn in work on time, it doesn't have to be impeccable. If you're easy to work with and the work's impeccable, you can blow a deadline. Rita's got a great little rant on that, and we'll get her in here one of these days to talk about it. There you go. The anthologies let you work your farm team. It lets you, because the traditional of relying on the rainmakers, the big authors, does not hold over for small presses. We can't rely on somebody knocking out of the park. We've got to build up. Mid-list authors live here. Traditional publishing has tended away from mid-list authors, which in my view is foolish. Come to small presses, mid-list authors. We will hopefully treat you a little better. But we need to develop these mid-list authors. We need to develop new authors into mid-list authors and mid-list authors into bestsellers.
Something I'll point out that is nice about Rack Press and some of the other small presses is if you treat your authors right, which you do, and they keep coming back, most of them wind up being friends from what I've seen.
I have a Rita, and we have a Cedar. Their magical talents making friends.
Yeah, Cedar's always going, well, so and so did. Who's that? Oh, he's one of our authors that's been in like 3 anthologies. Okay, and I may or may not have read those 3 anthologies. And even if I had, but she's talking about them like, somebody you have over to supper every week.
Rita, and I'm not kidding here, folks. I do not make friends easily. My little sweetheart literally was in the checkout line at United with our bags or with our groceries, getting ready to check out. And by the time we got through the line, she had been invited to a baby christening. And yeah, and knew the guy, everybody in line, she knew their first names, and had been invited to a baby christening. These people she did not know before she got in the line. I do not know how they do it. I do not know how they do it.
Cedar's the same way.
Mind blowing, isn't it?
And people are icky. I mean,
people are they're primates. They're up jump monkeys.
Yeah, and they breathe my air.
Yeah, and they make my life hard. Because Rita ever met a stranger? Apparently not. And people think when I tell that story, people think, no, Rita actually went to a baby christening. Somebody she'd never met before.
And I will say that Cedar says that she's an introvert and doesn't deal well with people. She says this as she's going through a place she's never been before, talking to everybody. And socializing. And I'm sitting here going,
well, I will say that the introversion is misunderstood. Introversion and extroversion are complete. The common wisdom is not what they actually are. Introversion, being an introvert, simply means that dealing with the public, dealing with social, takes energy away. It tires you. Whereas extroversion, those weirdos, they deal with public and they get energy. I know for a fact that once Rita will sleep for 2 days when we get done with the con. She gives off so much energy, just being the social butterfly and bouncing around, that when we get home, she turns into a whoopie burrito on the couch, and every now and then I'll unwrap one end to put soup or sandwiches in. If I find fuzzy socks, I've got the wrong end.
Can't argue that. Sometimes it's scary how much alike they are.
No kidding. Woo! It's like, oh, look, the whoopie burrito. Unwrap one end. Oh, fuzzy socks, wrong end. No, it's, but, and so, she likes people. It drains her to talk to them. But she still talks to them.
Whereas I'm a true introvert. Not only does it drain me to talk to people, I don't like most of them.
That's misanthropy, not introversion. You're just an introverted misanthrope like me.
Well, I'm not a total misanthrope. I do like occasional people.
Yeah, but as a whole,
any group of people is just nasty.
As a whole, people are they're up jump primates. They're
the devil's oven mitts.
Yes. People are exhausting. Introvert. That one statement, people are exhausting, introvert. There are some people, believe it or not, I hold them in awe and I want them to stay a distance away, that find people to be exhilarating and uplifting.
we have never had anybody come to the house from the general fan group that I didn't think was a fine person.
Yeah.
However, I figure I've been lucky because generally you don't find that.
He's an introverted misanthrope and oxymoron. No. Introversion simply means that social connections take energy from you. They drain you. Misanthropy means you don't like people
At all.
Introversion has nothing to do with liking or disliking people. Extroversion has nothing to do with liking or disliking people.
It's like when they call me a misogynist. I say, no, I'm not a misogynist because I hate men as much as I do women.
I love humanity as people I can't stand. I'm the other way around. People I like. Humanity is.
I like individuals. One or two at a time.
So there are extroverted misanthropes. God, yes. I had a sergeant that loved dealing with people and hated the people.
All of them.
He would go home bouncing after dealing with everybody throughout the day because he got energy out of it, the little vampire. But he hated people because they were all stupid.
Well, I've been in the Army. You've been in the Army.
Yeah.
The
Junior
reading them
enlisted.
as all stupid is accurate. Doesn't matter what their IQ is.
Junior enlisted.
Junior enlisted especially, but and junior officers, let's not forget that.
Junior officers. Only thing about junior officers is I was not allowed to grab them on the stacking swivel and do wall-to-wall counseling. And I could do that with a private. This was the 80s. Look it up. I was so powered up after Pecan. And Tiffany's an extrovert.
I was, you could do wall-to-wall counseling on an officer. You had trouble getting away with it, but you could do it.
Point.
And some of them, if you did the wall-to-wall counseling, would go, oh, wow, you can fight. We could use more men like this.
Wall-to-wall counseling does not involve fighting. It involves grabbing somebody by the lapels and bouncing off of walls while you tell them how the cow ate the cabbage.
Oh, no, I always did it by bouncing them off the walls.
Mm-mm. We used to call it in law enforcement, call it a vertical stun. A vertical stun is you shoot forearms on their chest and bounce their shoulders off a wall hard enough to make them go, whew. That's called a vertical stun. It is frowned upon these days, but back in the 90s when I first started, vertical stun was the way to get somebody's attention as being stupid. And personally, I think that disallowing the vertical stun was not a boon to law enforcement.
Well, I think disallowing saps in the jail was
no kidding. Greg has salient points, but I was actually taught if somebody was mouthy, wham, knock it off. And the average Mexican, and that it hits the reset button. Just, I can't believe you did that. Now we're getting somewhere. And you like to go on about your business. These days, once you start with a vertical slam or stun, you've got to keep going, which is, wham! Are you done? Okay. Move on to the next part of the stance.
Sometimes I think one of the problems with our society is the fact when I was a young man, if you had a problem with someone, you stepped outside, you wailed on each other. Win or lose, when it was over with, you weren't mad at each other anymore.
That started changing in the 80s.
Well, I've noticed the only people that do any fighting in bars and such, not that I've been in one for a decade or two, but it had gotten to the point by the 90s, the only people that did any fighting were the women. The men were too afraid because they knew they were going to jail if they raised the fist.
Yeah, as a teenager in the 80s, the bullies started changing. And they got a lot more psychological in the 80s. In the 70s, and this may have been because I was overseas and Mr. Carter made sure, in the 80s you could fight and everything was done. or in the 70s, you'd fight everything. And once you're done, you shook hands and you were done. In the 80s, you could fight, but the little shit they'd still be doing little psychological bullshit. I remember a hell of a fight wound up. This kid was picking. When I was in high school, when I got to the States, I was the smallest child in my cohort, my grade group. Not smallest boy, smallest child. Red hair, Coke bottle glasses, and an accent in Texas. Do not have fond memories of high school at all.
Did that little girl beat you up on a regular basis?
Oh no, her boyfriend did. And they do the and I got tired of that. And this one smaller kid and I got it and had a hell of a dust up. Got snatched in the principal's office. And very nice lady. Just told us, "Are you done yet?" It's like, yeah. And when she turned around to pick up something, the old bastard frogged me. And frogging is when you take this knuckle and you punch somebody a big muscle root. And she turned around and he frogged me. And I cleaned him out of the chair. And got detention for that one.
The only time I ever got swats in school, I'm sitting at the desk, doing the thing. And the person behind me, who would never do anything to me face to face, but he was behind me. So he hauls off and frogs me in the middle of the back. The nice big shoulder muscle back there.
Yep.
And I stood up, turned around, and clocked him.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not hitting me and I don't hit back. The teacher didn't see him hit me.
Yeah, they started getting good at that. They would do something to you that would hurt and cause you to have a reaction to get you in trouble. And they thought that was just the bestest game ever.
Well, he didn't do that to me because he did it the one time. And I got swats for it. And then after class, I caught him in the boys' room and proceeded to explain to him the error of his ways. He hurt much more from those swats than I did.
I was a vicious fighter. I had been raised by folks that taught me how to fight. I was a vicious. I'm still a vicious. I'm a vicious little shit. I really am.
Well, I'm not. I'm sweet and innocent, and I never actually hurt anybody.
I would. Thing about the kids in high school in Texas, they didn't really actually know how to fight. They were bigger and they were athletic, but their whole thing was just overwhelm you. And when I discovered that nobody knew how to block a liver punch, life got really interesting for high school bullies. I would hammer them in the liver when it went down. I would start working over their kidneys like I was getting paid to do it, and hammer fist to the kidney until somebody pulled me off. And
then they peed blood for a week, and
yeah,
not that I would ever have done anything like that.
Also, fouet, which is a savate whip kick. It's just a roundhouse kick, but you do it with the point of your shoe. And the lovely thing about savate, about knowing savate, is savate is predicated that you're wearing a shoe or a boot.
Unlike most of the martial arts.
Martial arts where you're barefooted. Savate says, no, you're wearing a shoe, let's use it. A fouet to the bladder will cause a bruise of the bladder, and for about a week, every time you have to go piddle, the bladder will cramp up. You have to be very precise on your targeting, but Savate's good at precision kicks. Time to save the watch. Just you crank a fouet into the bladder, and they'll spend the next week. Every time they have to piddle, their bladder will cramp up, and that is a uniquely agonizing bit of pain. I'm here to tell you.
Of course, the other thing to do to him is hook him up with the hooker that has social issues. Then every time they go to the bathroom,
I just the mixed martial arts these days teach really good stuff, and it's very American, which I'm a big fan of. Very American in that Americans like to take what works, get rid of what doesn't work, and pretty much everything we do, even in martial arts, where you get mixed martial arts, is they take what works and get rid of what doesn't. The issue being that I see is they take what works in the ring. The great thing about Savate, there are multiple great things about Savate. The first one, of course, is the fact that it's predicated that you're wearing shoes or maybe cowboy boots. And I'm here to tell you,
steel toes.
I'm here to tell you that a Muay Thai shin kick to the thigh hurts. A Savate fouet to the armpit with a pair of cowboy boots is a whole different level of pain. But the other thing about Savate, it's the only martial art I've ever done that actually has a block of instruction on how to defend yourself with a chair.
One of the things that I noted a lot in my younger days, there were two guys, if I had to get in a fight for some reason, there were two guys I wanted to be up against. One was the big guy, the biggest guy amongst them. The guy who was 6'6" and 300 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Because he'd never been in a fight in his life. He didn't have to.
Yep.
Therefore, he didn't know how, and he wasn't dangerous. The other person I liked to get in front of was the guy who was a black belt especially in karate, but black belt in karate judo, because they're very good at what works in the dojo. The dojo does not teach them how to cover the back of their head when the chair is hitting it, or the beer bottle, or whatever else you may have used on them.
Used to be, and it has changed. MMA has changed a lot of stuff about the about interpersonal combat world. But it used to be that karate was not real great at getting up inside their wingspan and hitting with elbows and knees. They're getting better. Especially in the U.S., everything is adapting. It's all adapting to MMA.
But in the 70s,
man, you could shoot in on somebody.
And if you picked them up off the ground, they were helpless.
And slam them down.
Oh, and my favorite thing, they were the guys that had watched too many kung fu movies, and they would take this flying kick at you with from across the room and come at you to kick you head high. I love those guys because all you had to do was kneel and raise your hand and squeeze.
I did.
Not that I ever had to do that, you understand. It just I observed it.
When we spent brief time in Nevada when we came back. I went to Carlin High School and Battle Mountain High School a year each one before we came back to Texas. And Nevada, real big on wrestling. So I got to do a lot of wrestling. Greco-Roman and freestyle, high school wrestling in Nevada. And wrestling was an eye-opening experience. There were a lot of epiphanies in wrestling. And the simple fact that it's only recently that wrestling has been, people are, finally MMA is, hey, wrestling is actually pretty damn good. It's only recently that people, used to be wrestling was considered, it wasn't considered a martial art.
Well, it was because everybody knew about big time wrestling or whatever it was WWW or whatever.
But Greco-Roman or freestyle, college freestyle, wasn't considered a martial art. And I was like, this stuff's great. This stuff's great. I was shooting in on opponents way before.
Yeah. If you can lock them up and then proceed to beat the wall with them, you don't have any more problems. At least that's what I've seen.
No, but like I said, Savate is the only martial art that I know of that actually has a block of instruction on how to defend yourself with a chair, which is quite honestly one of the more useful skills I've ever learned.
And something that you should know. You see the old Western movies, and John Wayne gets hit over the back with a chair from one of the poker tables.
Good night.
And it shatters all over the place, and he turns around and punches it. No, chairs do not break. People do.
People break. Yes, no kidding. That's like vodka bottles don't break. You see in the movies where somebody gets hit with a liquor bottle. That liquor bottle, I've seen it. They don't break. The person does. The hitee breaks, but the bottle doesn't.
Well, it depends on how many people you hit with it.
That point. That's a good point.
Because, eventually you weaken the glass.
So, and we got off on the violence. The Savant Classique has, and Savant Defense has the chair, and my very favorite is the truncheon block, which is short sticks, longer than pocket sticks, and there are short sticks everywhere. And if you've got some familiarity on how to use a short stick, there are all sorts of short sticks within reach you don't even know about.
Well, I actually, if I can get it, prefer something about yay long. About half a pool cue. The back, the butt half.
Yeah, the thick half. That has been a bartender weapon of choice for probably centuries.
If you bring it down, and if you bring the pool stick down on the edge of the table with enthusiasm, you'll get that sawed-off chunk with a nice pointy into it.
Or just unscrew it.
That's only if they've got two-piece screws. Most bars did not have two-piece pool cues.
I can't play pool. Not very good at it. You stick a pool cue to the bars. I know a pool cue case. Can't play pool worth a damn. No, but the short truncheon flashlights. Hell, the power strip right there is a truncheon. Very good. There are, in the classic and street fighting version of Savant, there are some blocks of instruction that are every bit as good these days as they were back then. How to use a coat, for instance. How to use a chair. How to use a short stick.
And one of my favorites, how to use a cane.
Cane.
Because I'm especially talking about. I'm not talking about the war hammers that people get with these big silver heads. I'm talking about a simple wood with a curved hook on the end of it. You can do all kinds of things with that simple curved hook.
Well, I'm a big fan of canes because I can carry one anywhere. And everybody says that TSA is locking down on canes, which has not been my experience.
Mine.
Yeah. The one time I was walking to a courthouse with a cane, and one of the court security asked me to prove that I needed a cane. And I looked at the lawyers and went through and said, "Hey, he's asking me to violate the ADA." And it's like, no, let him through. Or ADA or HIPAA. You need me to tell you about my medical condition there, son? And I got through with a cane.
When I went to court, I had to go back to the car and put my little bitty pocket knife. I got a little Case Rancher pocket knife. Ain't about nothing. I had to go back to the car and put that in the car. I forgot I had it because it's there. It's in my right front pocket. It's always in my right front pocket. But I had no problem with me using the cane.
Now, somebody on here just mentioned Cane Masters. Cane Masters makes a solid product, but if you're going to carry in public, do not get their self-defense canes. Because if a prosecutor can look at their sight and show the jury about all the sharp edges that are especially designed for self-defense, it becomes a little harder for you to, your attorney to defend you. Just get a standard cane. Cane Masters makes what they call a training cane that doesn't have the sharp and the funky stuff. Just get a standard cane. Standard wood crooktop cane.
And you can go down to the medical supply store in town, wherever it is, the place where you buy your bandages and your splints and whatever, and pick up one that is perfectly adequate and a heck of a lot cheaper.
There are somewhere in storage I have I think it's Butcher canes out of South Africa. I think it's Butcher. They first came to, I think it's Butcher. Don't quote me on that. It's a South African cane maker, and they're famous for their sword canes. If you're in a state that does not allow sword canes, do not buy a Butcher sword cane. But they make a laminate fiberglass walking cane that doesn't have the sharp and pointy feature. And that is my absolute favorite all time. It's smooth. There's nothing on there to cut anybody. But I'm here to tell you, when you smack somebody, you are not going to break that laminated fiberglass, period. Jim Dandy piece of equipment. There are TDI sells a defense cane. I wouldn't. It's a decent cane. It's a good cane. I wouldn't carry it. I wouldn't carry anything that a prosecutor can enter into Google and find out that it's self-defense.
And for that matter, if you have the head on it, it's a 5-pound head, which I've seen lots of people say, "Oh yeah, I've got this." Basically, it's a war hammer. When I'm no, you don't want that.
And if you are carrying a cane for a good reason, and when I'm exhausted, when I'm tired, I limp. I have a damaged hip, and I will limp, and I do need a cane. The damage is all internal, so you can't see the scars. But when I'm tired, I need a cane.
If you have peripheral artery disease, you need a cane.
So I don't get fancy with the cane, because if I'm at the point, if I'm actually needing the cane, the fancy stuff requires a stable base. And if I at the point I need the cane, I don't have a stable base. So practice the simple stuff. What I generally recommend to people is, if you actually require a cane, if you do not have a stable base and require a cane, Michael Janich has a cane series that's it's a video series on the art of the cane. Very simple. He teaches 3 moves. That's designed for people that don't have a stable base. Very effective for people that don't have a stable base. If you do have a stable base, and about half the time I'm carrying a cane, I do have a stable base, then the fancy cane master stuff is fine. There's Savat has Lacan, which is fun. It's a great aerobic exercise. It uses light whippy canes. It teaches you how to chamber. It teaches judging distance. It's a lot of fun. There are rules, and people, well, there's no rules in a fight. These rules are to teach you how to chamber and put your weight behind a strike, and how to recover while having fun. Because if you're having fun doing something, you'll do more of it. If you do more of it because you're having fun, you'll learn it quicker, faster, and better. And it all translates to what they call con de combat, which is the big, heavy, I'm going to wreck your world cane. Get the light cane, learn how to use the light cane first before you transfer to the bigger canes. Okay, guys?
Most of you don't have the wrist for the big cane.
He's not wrong. Canes are great. I'm a big fan of canes and walking sticks, but I've had a lot of practice with them. When I am not stable, the way I use, when I'm not, you can tell when I'm not stable because I'll be using a crook top cane, which is the one with the hook. That way I can hook it over my arm when I'm doing stuff, but all I have to do is drop my arm and the cane will pivot and come into my hand. It sounds weird. Do it a couple of times and it will surprise you how well it works. You just hang it off the outside of your arm, and when you need it, you drop your arm down, and it works. Trust me, it works. And what I do is when I'm not stable, I will anchor. In the right hand, I'll anchor it to my hip, and then I'll hold the left hand. I'll hold the cane pointed at the other guy's eyes. And for those of you who are somewhat familiar, a slip thrust. Slip thrust is where you've got your forehand and you slide through. You don't do this like a bayonet, but you slide. That's a slip thrust, and it's deceptive as hell.
Again, we're back to shooting pool.
Right, exactly. It's a pull shot. That's a slip thrust. So if you've got the horn, the crook anchored to your right hip or your strong side hip, and you're holding the point towards his face, he's got to get past that first. And when he starts moving in, you slip thrust into his face. And in my experience, creatively speaking, in a creative articulation, hypothetically, if you smack somebody in the mouth with a full-on slip thrust, they will bugger off to seek softer targets.
And if they don't, it's because they're already A, drunk, and B, really angry.
You smack them in the mouth, break out some teeth, they'll go somewhere else. But it also does not require a completely stable base. The slip thrust, you can do it off of one leg if you have to. Point right at the eyes, so target count judge distance, face, eyes, face, same thing. You want the end pointed at their face. Eyes preferably at the face.
Above the chin and below the eyebrows.
Bingo. And then you just bring your right arm, you leave your left hand where it is, bring your right hand to meet it. Slip thrust. And it's fast, it's sneaky, and it'll take the sauce out of people.
By the way, I would actually prefer, if I was in that situation, to put it below the chin. The problem is that humans are very good at ducking that chin down and protecting the throat. People with experience go for the face because breaking teeth, breaking noses.
Going for the sensor suite. This is the sensor suite. Yeah. And the brain, the monkey brain wants to protect the sensor suite because it realizes if you lose a sense, you're behind the power curve.
And if you hit somebody in the nose, if nothing else, there are going to be tears, and they will have trouble seeing. But that's a minimum.
The monkey brain that takes over wants to protect the sensor suite. So you smack them once in the sensor suite. Craig Douglas does a similar thing when he's teaching knife fighting. The first strike he teaches is either a saber grip or reverse grip to the mouth with your knife. You want him in the mouth with your knife. And it's the same thing. First hit, and people, done. We're out. It works a lot.
And if you're not going for the face, go for the joints. Any joint. Simple fact of the matter is, if there is a heavy wooden bar laid across the side of the knee, the person is probably going to cease using the knee for a while.
Only problem, and Sanford has an excellent point. If you can take out the knee, however, if you're not as well trained in this as one might hope, when the rubber hits the road and your monkey brain takes over, it's hard to move that point down to go for you want to keep it up where their hands, where their weapons are. It's hard to train that instinct out of your average Joe. Sanford will take out a knee. I'll take out a knee. Hell, if you can do a good two-hand strike, 4 fingers above the ankle bone, you will break that bone. And you break the structure, you break the fight. But it is hard to teach your average person to come off because they want to keep it up where the opposition's hands are.
So he was talking about the slip thrust earlier. Something else, you're fighting somebody with a stick, effectively stick. Never, ever, unless you've got a really good shot like getting the knee, never, ever do the baseball bat thing. If you got it back here, he can get you. He's got all this room to hit.
The number one strike, also, Dog Brothers calls it caveman strike. Caveman strike. Number one, which is high. It's high outside to low inside. It's across or down. It's your basic whatever. Thag, smack. It's very devastating. It's also, like Sanford says, kind of opens you up.
The best thing to do with any stick is pretend it's a spear and poke him
Slip thrust.
Slip thrust or two-handed poke.
Now, that's not to say that baseball strike, the caveman strike, isn't a good idea. It's an excellent idea. But if you can slip thrust and he's backing up and turning away and blinking and gives you the opening to go for the caveman, that's fine. Don't open a caveman. I'll take that up. I always figure the bad guy is at least as well trained as I am. And if you open with the caveman or baseball, if you open, I'm shooting in and fouling your strike. And we're going south from there.
Well, for that matter, if the guy's up here like this and you go into hug range, he cannot reach you with that implement because you've got your arm under his elbow or under his shoulder arm, and you got your arm or shoulder up there. It ain't going nowhere. I mean, he can wave it around like this and maybe catch the top of your head, maybe, but not likely.
Any strikes point, at that when you're entangled like that, any strikes he does have are he can land strikes. They're just not as strong as they would be. Like I said, don't open with a caveman because, like I said, I always assume my opponent is at least as well trained as I am, if not better trained. And if I want to see you do a caveman, may I see you start weight shift to move back? I'm shooting in. I will shoot in, foul your, and then we're going to town. We're going to have a dance.
I have bunk extenders. I've taken several of those away from idiots.
I love bunk adapter fever. That is a drill sergeant term from the 80s. I'm pretty sure not allowed to do that anymore. But a bunk adapter there's 4 of them per 2 beds. And a bunk adapter is a length of steel. It's a steel tube about that long. And what it's used for is to take 2 beds and make a bunk. So these bunk adapters go on the legs of one bed, fitting in the top of the legs of the second bed. Bunk adapter turns 2 beds into a bunk bed. And drill sergeants in the 80s loved bunk adapters. Drill sergeants after dark grow fangs. And the drill sergeants that were around for fire watch would have a bunk adapter down the back. They all used to wear that green combat belt, and they'd have a bunk adapter down the back of the combat belt.
And if nothing else, even if all they did was hit the end of your bunk,
yeah,
between the ringing, the vibration, and everything else, you were landing somewhere over there, and you were probably landing in a brown pile. I mean, you know.
I've been known on social media to say somebody's never had bunk adapter fever, which was the term when I was in, when you had that guy that if a drill sergeant gets in my face, I'll just punch him. Or the common wisdom that all recruits tell each other is that if a drill sergeant wakes you up from a sound sleep and you punch him, you can't be held liable for what you do wake you up from a sound sleep, which is bullshit. However, so you always get one that have a case of the ass drill sergeant, and he would pretend to be asleep. And then the drill sergeant startled him awake and punched him. Thus he cannot. And then what generally happened was he would startle awake, and drill sergeant would lay a bunk adapter upside his head and dump him on the curb for medics to pick up. Thus, bunk adapter fever.
I actually had when I was in. I woke up like that. If I woke up suddenly, I woke up swinging.
Yep.
Of course, that was because I didn't trust anybody I ever roamed with.
But no, every my basic training company, everyone I ever heard of, there was always somebody said, no, if they startle you awake, you punch them, you can't be held liable. And people would believe that bullshit. Once.
Of course, I remember the guy that drill sergeant did not hit him with bunk adapter. Woke him up. He took the swing.
Took the swing.
And the drill sergeant goes, tink. And the guy goes to the dispensary and gets his hand casted. because it hurts when you hit something that hard.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the drill sergeant was swinging his bunk adapter a bit too.
Off to things a little more social and less applied violence.
But we like applied violence.
Does everybody know about the Whiskey Rebellion?
Yes.
You're not everybody.
I'm somebody.
Yes. The Whiskey Rebellion, I wrote about it. The Whiskey Rebellion was during Washington's term. You know, George Washington, our very first president. His Secretary of the Treasury had a good idea and set the nation's first tax and first sin tax. Sin taxes are bad ideas. Particularly since he decided that the sin tax, this was Hamilton, by the way, sin tax needed to be on booze. Bearing in mind, we had just fought the Revolutionary War. We had taken on the premier military in the world at the time. So there was a lot of misery. There was a lot of troopies coming home minus parts. There were a lot of people coming home with PTSD. There were a lot of families that were either getting a broken father, husband, son, uncle, or weren't getting one at all. And they decided that they needed to tax booze. No. Anyway, so they decided to put a sin tax on booze, and it wound up with about half the country at the time with a massive case of the ass, and thus the Whiskey Rebellion. Well, George Washington summoned the militias of 4 states, and I will give him this. He did find a Supreme Court judge, and when I say find, understand the judge he found spent most of his time dodging creditors, and indeed, while a Supreme Court judge spent at least one term or one stint in debtor's prison. But he found a Supreme Court justice to say, yeah, that looks like a rebellion to me. George Washington went, all right, summoned 4 militias and 13,000 troopies plus or minus, and stomped the rebellion flat. So everybody that's saying that sending the National Guard to anywhere, that the president sending the National Guard is unprecedented, needs to stop eating the history books. Not only is it precedented, the first president of this republic did it.
And my family was on the wrong side of that, or the losing side of that. Won't say it's the wrong side.
It's unprecedented. You can't do this. How is it not precedented? A rebellion. Oh, no kings, no kings. Why is he a king? He's mobilizing the National Guard. He can't do that. Your very first president, whom you probably worship at the altar of, did it. If it's been done before, it is no longer unprecedented. Okay, guys?
Works for me.
In more friendly news, Sam Robb's first book is coming out, Sigils. Y'all should probably get this one. Sam is good, folks. Writes good stuff. Y'all should probably buy this. Buy it if you like it. Tell your friends so that Sam will write more. Let's see here. What do we got here? Georgetown, Burner, Washington. Yeah. The thing about the corn and the grain and everything else is this was back. George Washington was president. The country was not as widespread as it is now and did not have the transportation network. The part of the country that decided to get a case of the ass about the whole thing was still fighting what is referred to as the First Indian War, and we weren't winning. Indians are good at fighting. We weren't winning that. Plus, the Mississippi River was our western boundary, And the Empire of Spain had declared that we were not allowed to use the settlers, the Americans, were not allowed to use it for commercial transport. So they got grain. They couldn't transport. Transporting grain in a wagon over a goat path. This was dumb. There were no railroads.
And by the way, you couldn't store the grain long term because rats and mice and things were a thing.
I suspect that a whole bunch of temperance idiots got a hold of Hamilton and convinced him this was a good idea. Sin taxes are never a good idea. Taxing sin is never a good idea.
Well, no, it's a good idea if you keep the taxes very low.
No. Because when you tax sin, the first thing everybody does is start a black market.
Well, yeah, that's why I think taxing sin's a good thing.
You would.
Well, hey,
so
man's got to make a living somehow.
And then the fun part that always happens that nobody ever talks about is the government starts to get dependent on that extra income. Sin tax money, sin tax money becomes very good. So usually one of the excuses for promoting a sin tax is we're going to make the sin go away. Then you start making money off the sin.
So you encourage the sin so that you make more money off of it.
And you don't want to all of a sudden get rid of that money, right? Because what are you going to replace it with? Sin taxes are stupid. They've never worked, they will never work, and they're just damn dumb.
Well, smoking has sin taxes on it in every state. And
the black market in cigarette and tobacco exists.
And it has gone down a lot, but it's not gone down a lot because of the sin taxes. It's gone down a lot because
education.
There is not so much education as a witch hunt amongst the anti-smoking is a religion in this country.
Well, you can tell every now and then, it frustrates the shit out of me, I'm here to tell you. You can tell every now and then that one of the primary founding ideas of the United States was the bloody Puritans. You can really see it every now and then.
Everybody wants to have some kind of sinner that they can be against.
And for those of you who don't think there's a black market cigarettes, if you've ever gone to the reservation smoke shop to buy your cigarettes because there's no tax, they're cheaper, no taxes, and then provided them to somebody else, congratulations, black market.
There is no taxes on the reservation smoke. Okay, I got to go to I got to go to the casino next week.
Black marketer. Viva la black market!
I'm not talking about selling them. I'm talking about taking them home. Okay, so maybe I'll get some for, some of the people I know that need them. Hey, profit. It's a good motive.
What did I just say not 30 seconds ago? Sin tax equals black market every time. And black market's not always that obvious, guys. We're discussing, what we just discussed is black market.
Oh,
if Sanford goes to the casino and happens to pick up three-card cigarettes and provides them to a friend, black market.
By the way, it doesn't even have to be a place where there's no sin tax. There was a time when people were going, Kentucky has a law now, you can't buy more than 5 cartons of cigarettes because people were going down there and buying a pickup load and taking them to Ohio where they were like $4 a carton, higher $10 a carton or whatever. Actually, I think it was like $30 a carton higher in Ohio.
Good Lord.
So people go to Kentucky, buy a pickup load, take them to Ohio and sell them for $10 less than they cost in Ohio and make $20 a carton.
Cogito ergo sum. And I don't smoke. I don't cigarettes. I don't much care for. But one of my fondest memories is the smell of my father's pipe. And whenever we have a convention, I will wander out to smoke. If somebody's got a good cigar, I'll wander out the smoke pit just to smell a cigar. Now, cheap cigars are bloody disgusting.
Oh, even to smokers.
But if somebody's out there with a good high end cigar or a pipe, I'll wander out there to smell it. That is a beloved childhood memory. Is my father packing his pipe on the front porch and smoking his pipe, sipping a bourbon. That is a fond childhood memory.
40 years ago, you could smoke anywhere, indoors, anywhere in the country. There was a game store that was open all night on Friday or Saturday night. Can't remember which one it was. Maybe it was both. And we had all night D&D marathons there. We had one guy that I swear I could have taken my nastiest pair of socks from when I was in the infantry, rolled them up and lit them, and it would have smelled better.
As a child, back in the day, there were more than one transatlantic flight on Pan Am in the 60s and 70s. When we landed, good thing I was a small child because I was running up down the aisles under the layer of cigarette smoke.
Oh, yeah. I used to fly on those flights.
You can tell the doors opened up because all the cigarette smoke would rush out.
Well, you got a cigarette and a tax-free booze, and you know what I miss from the 60s and 70s? When you would get on an airplane.
That's a Braniff shirt. Sorry, squirrels. Go ahead.
I'd get on an airplane. The seats, and I'm talking about commercial, not first class. Seats are about yay wide.
Yeah.
There's a good 2 to 3 foot in front of you, between you and the next seat. They bring you a meal that looks like it came out of a restaurant.
A good meal, as I remember.
Well, I don't know how good they were, but they were certainly better than.
Well, you had a decent choice too. You had the chicken or the beef.
Mm-hmm. Drinks. I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was free drinks. And if you got on one of the really special flights, they had an upstairs that was a bar and a lounge and dance floor.
747. For those of the children out there, there was an airline way back in the day called Braniff. And Braniff, bless their hearts, was known for a slightly radioactive paint scheme. Literally, that could be I would swear the Braniff Lounge at DFW, that was the upholstery.
May have been.
I love Braniff. Pan Am and Braniff were great. British Caledonian, Pan Am, and Braniff were the flights I would always take. TWA wasn't bad.
The Irish one.
Aer Lingus.
The booze was better on that one.
Oh, yes. So, let's see. What have we discussed? Everything. It's been
anything coming out other than Sam Rob's book?
I don't know. Cedar isn't here to tell me. We got Sam Rob's book coming out. We've got at least one Antho coming out here pretty quick. DJ is working on the Dime Store Detective anthology as we speak. Tiffany Ross has got a book coming out here fairly quickly. She's actually in the comment section. TC Ross, Blood Diamonds. We're in the middle of development on that one. I think Rita is about here in a little while. We'll be taking up copy edits, and then we'll get it out. There she is! Yay! What's happening? Hell if I know. I've done a couple of. Cedar did a representation of the inside of my head. She's got these squirrels that are rave and carrying a fox. So I took that. Mercs and Mayhem publication. Yes, okay, October 31st. Thank you, Jesse. Mercs and Mayhem comes out October 31st. Going to be a good one, guys. The cover is Sigils is live, but I'm noodling around with Night Cafe, so I did Rita's version because I don't know if y'all realize, but Rita and I, our ADD is in sync. It really is. The only difference between my brain squirrels and her brain squirrels is her brain squirrels have better footwear. So I did a night cafe,
And sing better.
and they sing much better, of a female squirrel DJing a grave full of squirrels with pearls, and they didn't do the high heels. Jesse on here took that and turned it into a short video that is absolutely adorable. If you're on Rider Dojo, Jesse's got it up on Rider Dojo and on his Substack, and he goes through how he animated it. So, and it's absolutely adorable. I'm trying to find some music to go along with it because it really needs music. Let's see. Sigils is live, yes, in Serials. Bourbon and Lead's coming out in November. Mercs and Mayhem. Like I said, Mercs and Mayhem's got a kick-ass cover. It really does. I want to read it just because of the cover. I guess what covers are for. Mercs and Mayhem, Bourbon and Lead. Sam Rob's book is out in serial form, and I think TC's is up next. Anywho.
You still haven't done Pirates of Malta.
Corsairs of Malta will be probably 2027.
Oh, you're going to do it after all this time.
Well, no, now that I've said I'll do it on all those stories people have promised me won't show up. But no, Corsairs of Malta is down the road, but we've already got the cover. If I have the cover, I might as well do this. I might as well freaking do the anthology, right? Blood Diamond the serial starts in November, so be on deck for that one. Everybody that's read it tells me that it's fantastic. So Blood Diamonds is going to be one for y'all keep an eye out. Fossil Force is coming up. That's our next kids book. Fossil Force is coming up in October 15th for pre-order. The children's book section is doing rather well. I'm quite proud of that. We need more people to be reading them, but I'm rather proud of I hate to say it, but I think the kids' books are doing better than our adult books are, which...
There are plenty of adult books out there. There aren't very many good kids' books out there.
That's a point. Holy shit, we're 12 minutes over. I'm sorry, guys. And only 18 people watching. Holy crap. Why do we even bother? And of those 18, only 10 have liked. No, 9 have liked. Don't know why we do this. All right, guys. Curtis will be back on Tuesday. And so you won't have us two blithering. You'll have Jim on here to keep us on the straight and narrow because Lord knows we don't ever follow the rails. Rails? We don't know stinking rails. All right, guys. Y'all be safe. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you Tuesday, all right? Ciao.